I'm trying to figure out where I want to put my time, my effort, my energy, etc. Obviously, like, I'm a rapper, I produce music, I dance. Recently, I started a podcast with one of my friends that's been doing like okay for like a new podcast. I edit videos and I have 2 jobs. I edit videos for my mom. And so I feel like I should be further along in one of those things than I am at this certain point. And my thought process is perhaps I'm spreading myself too thin across so many different things. But I'm trying to figure out, like, I feel like I enjoy life more when I'm creating on all these different levels. So how can I focus while not necessarily taking things off the table? You know what I mean?
I think it's tough, bro, because to grow a business requires a ton of patience, right? And that's what you're attempting to do. Like, you're attempting to build a media company. So you're learning media, you're learning podcasting, you're learning video, you're learning how to rap, how to produce, right? So you're in that developmental stage where you're just still learning and trying to get good at what it is you're doing. The short answer to your question, AJ, is going to be deliberate, be intentional, but know that it takes patience. It's going to require patience. It's not going to happen overnight. Everybody assumes that it's going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. And sometimes it could be deceptive because we see people that seemingly blow up overnight, or you see people catching momentum, but not understanding that you're seeing the end. You're seeing somebody's climax. You're seeing somebody's end. You're seeing somebody decades in, and you think that it's overnight. Or you're seeing somebody that's a part of nepotism, right? Like, there's a degree of nepotism, and we think that nepotism is organic. So it's really hard to maintain that perspective on how to remain patient, and knowing that if you keep chipping away at all these things, you will get good, and your moment will come, and you will develop and get better, and then something will slowly, like, it'll start clicking for you, right? The tough part is you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with years of developing, years of learning, years of these things, that it's not going to be done overnight. It's just not, you know what I'm saying? Unless you just get lucky and you just have a random TikTok video go super viral. But even those people that have the one TikTok video that goes super viral, nowadays that doesn't translate to 1 million followers off of one video. A million followers on TikTok doesn't translate to 100,000 followers on Instagram. Even those things have changed, and you have to consistently keep going viral and keep popping. So I think my answer to you is, AJ, you got to be patient. You have to not buy into the nonsense that's going to be pushed to you by music and marketing. I'll give you a really good example, right? Nepotism in hip hop. I don't know if you guys know what the word nepotism means. Nepotism just means that you advance because of your family, right? And we don't think this happens, but it does. I'll give you guys a really, really, really real deal example. There's an artist exploding right now, and they tried to make him look like he just organically exploded. And the artist's name is Baby Keem, right? Some of you guys may have heard of him. And the way they made it look was like, oh man, Baby Keem, he just sent, like, they asked him, like, how did you get credits on the Black Panther soundtrack for production? And he was like, oh, I just sent in a beat pack to TDE through a Gmail, and they just used it. And then overnight, I got credits on the Black Panther soundtrack, right? And so, like, that's the narrative that's being pushed by him, and by all these big publications are starting to cover him, right? Well, as people dug away, they found out that Baby Keem is actually Kendrick Lamar's little cousin, right? And that he actually is being managed by Dave Free, who was the president of Top Dog Entertainment. So Kendrick's manager slash president of Top Dog walked away from Top Dog to manage Baby Keem. 2, they just leaked reference tracks of Kendrick Lamar that allegedly are Baby Keem demos. So Kendrick Lamar could potentially be writing all of the music, right? So it's just like, bro, this is typical nepotism. Like, your uncle is one of the best rappers ever, and so you get on overnight, and you get platinum credits on Black Panther soundtrack, and he might be potentially writing your raps, right? But but the way it's framed, AJ, is that, oh, Baby Keem, he's 18 years old. He's a rock star, right? And it's almost framed in a way to make you feel like a failure because you're not as far along as he is. You aren't as popping as he is. Well, do you not have the work ethic? Do you not, right? And that's the deceptive part about all of this industry stuff, is that, bro, it doesn't work that way. No one sends in a beat pack to TDE and lands credits on the biggest soundtrack of the year. It just does. That's just not how it works. It takes time. It takes positioning. It's a small business, and it's going to take time. And your first couple years are going to be survival mode, right? Any small business, the first couple years. So you're in survival mode. Like, you're literally in survival mode, and you're just trying to get stuff off the ground. It's not going to happen like that. Now, you can do everything you can to educate yourself, and you should be actively educating yourself. You should be on YouTube learning as much as you can about podcasting. You should be on YouTube learning as much as you can about rapping, about cadences, about recording. You should always be educating yourself, and that stuff will help you along the way. But, bro, there's no shortcut to patience. There's no shortcut to figuring out your product. And the truth is, if you parallel music to any other business, most people have multiple attempts before they get their first business off the ground. Most people fail at something a handful of times before they actually strike something. And most people don't really become successful until they're in their 30s. Like, that's just the truth, right? And that's not to say that you have to wait until you're 30. That's just to say, bro, you got to have some realistic gauges of how this is going to pan out. And it's going to be a slow burn until you hit that mass point, that critical point where you're good enough, you understand marketing, you're collaborating with the right people, and then it'll start building for you, right? But you're still in that developmental stage. Like, you're just trying to get good at making music first, right? Like, that's where you're at. Like, focus on that. Do everything you can on that. Don't stretch yourself too thin. So if you're working 2 jobs, I'm not volunteering anywhere else right now if I'm you, right? You're working 2 jobs and you're trying to get music off the ground. I'm not volunteering anywhere, right? If I'm you, I'm not volunteering in my youth group. I'm probably not dating. You know what I mean? I'm really focusing on getting your business off the ground. It comes with sacrifices. You have to do it. You have to make sure you don't blow your money. You got to manage your mood and where you're at emotionally and your mental health. Bro, it's hard, bro. This isn't easy. Like, if it was easy, everybody would be successful. Everybody would make 6 figures. Everybody would be wealthy, right? But it's not. It's very difficult, especially when you come from the mud. Like, when you come from nothing, it's very difficult. You know what I mean? It's simple. It's simple. It will work out. Maybe not as a rapper, but in something. It will work out. Maybe it's your podcast that explodes. Maybe you develop some crazy unique sound as a producer. I don't know. But the truth is, if you keep working and you understand marketing and business as a creative, it will pan out. It just may take you 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. Are you willing to do that? Are you willing to suffer for half a decade until you start seeing some real measurable money off of this thing? You know what I mean? I don't know that question for you. It seems like you are. You know what I mean? It seems like you are. So I don't know. Is that? Do you want? You want me to elaborate on anything? I know I just gave you kind of like a very broad
no, for sure.
concept.
I'm So you think it is good that I'm doing all these different things? Like, I should keep doing all of them?
I think yes, with the caveat that it's going to take you longer to get good at all of them at the same time. So what does that mean? That means you have to be in education mode all the time. So you're always learning, you're always being deliberate, you're looking for the best stuff on YouTube, being curious, right? And you're learning multiple skills. You're trying to learn how to rap, you're trying to learn how to podcast and speak, and you're trying to learn how to produce. Is that right? Those are your 3 main things?
Yeah, that and kind of figuring out the social media and YouTube.
Okay, and you're trying to learn how to market. So you're trying to learn how to rap, produce, podcast, and marketing. If you can figure out a way to see that as all one stream of consciousness, you will grow at it faster. If you could think of a song and how to produce the song and how to talk about the song in a podcast and then how to market the song with a music video and an IG, Instagram ad rollout, you will grow at it faster. If you're looking at it like 3 separate things, it's going to be very difficult to do that. You see what I'm saying? But they do overlap. It's not like they don't overlap. Video editing, production, mixing, rapping all overlaps. Podcasting is just really you learning how to articulate and how to communicate. Really what you're trying to learn as a podcaster to do, by the way, is you're trying to learn persuasion. This is something that doesn't get talked about enough. You're trying to learn how to persuade people to your point of view and to show empathy and to understand and connect with people. That, you could study that. You can learn that, right? But it requires time and effort. There's just no way around it. You know what I mean? So, and your capacity to learn might be different, right? Your capacity to learn, your self-awareness might be different, right? But it is going to be that time under tension. It is going to be that consistency. It is going to be doing all this. So yeah, I think you should do all of them. However, do it for 6 months. And if you feel like in 6 months you aren't where you want to be in one of those things, it's okay to fall back and say, I'm going to hit pause on this. You know, it's okay to be like, yo, I'm trying to learn how to rap, produce, podcast, and market myself. Okay, you know what? I don't like where I'm at as a rapper, so I'm going to put production to the side for a season. I'm just going to use a bunch of YouTube beats and just try to get as good as I can off of YouTube beats. Then I'm going to come back to rapping. You know what I mean? Excuse me, then I'm going to come back to producing. That's okay too, right? Like, that's totally okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I believe that's kind of how Bats did it. Like, I believe Bats really went in on rapping, and as he got really professional as a rapper, then he said, okay, now I'm going to learn to produce. Once he was good as a rapper, producing wasn't that difficult because he just understood time and vibe and texture and colors and, you know what I'm saying, and just kind of how to fuse stuff together. But AJ, I just want you to know that there's no shortcuts. It takes time. It takes patience. You're doing the right things. I would also say, make sure that you're in the right headspace. Make sure that your headspace is that of optimal efficiency, meaning that you aren't super tired all the time. You aren't super emotionally drained because you're dealing with toxic people in your personal life or debating toxic people online, right? I don't know what you're doing, but like if you're clear-headed, if you feel good, if you feel like you're on the right path, you're going to create better art usually.
Okay, I think that is kind of tricky because I do have some minor like sleeping problems. Like I fall asleep during the daytime without trying to. And I work an hour away from where I live, so I'm trying to move soon. But sometimes with like my commute and stuff, it makes like the sleeping problems a bit more difficult. So I'm not sure whether or not I have how long do I have the capacity to keep doing what I'm doing and not feel dead all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. Don't compromise on sleep. Like, don't play with your sleep. Don't play with your health. Don't play with your mental health. Right? Like, don't play with that stuff. That's serious stuff. Like, your mind, your brain, you have for the rest of your life. You might switch careers in 10 years, in 5 years. You might pivot. You might do something different. But you need that brain of yours. You need that nervous system. You know what I'm saying? Don't blow that trying to chase something, you know?